Hi everyone, in today's video we're going to look at how you can measure the progress of aches, pains and injuries. Now as endurance runners we are going to get aches, pains and injuries at some point, so we might as well know how to handle it better. Now a good recommendation is to have somebody support you with this, whether it be a sports therapist, sports massage therapist, physiotherapist, or just somebody else, a coach that you can work alongside who has a knowledge of these types of things. So what we want to try to do is make sure we are seeing some progress in the first place, but also something really obvious we can measure so we're getting that hope. Hope, confidence is a huge part of recovery and also helping us make the correct decisions for our long-term progression. So keeping a diary of this in some way, shape or form, either digitally or on paper, can make a huge difference. Also, if you are working with somebody like a sports massage therapist or physio, you can give them this information and get better treatment, better progression because of that information you're giving them. So what things might you want to measure? First off, you want to look at how the pain is on a daily basis as a whole, but also at the type of sensation you're getting. So we're seeing area change, even just subtle differences in where you feel it, the types of pain you get, the level of pain, how that changes throughout the day, whether it's better in the morning, better in the evening, better with or without activity. Often things are worse after you've been sat still for a while and then you're using the body in certain ways. So all of these things are really, really useful. Also, if there are particular types of activity that you're doing that are upsetting it, noting down when that starts. So if you're doing a certain movement, rather than just a strength workout or strength training upsets, okay, which movements in particularly seem to upset it? Are there things that if you don't do them, actually don't have any problems? And certain things that if you just do that one thing, immediately sets it off. That's really, really useful and something often overlooked. Other things you might want to measure when it comes to running. So, how far you can go without pain, the level of pain at the start of the run, how it progresses throughout the pain across that run, the shoes you're wearing, the elevation you're using, the camber of the roads that you're running on, and if there are any relation to elevation up, elevation down, camber left or right. All of these things can be really useful in helping seeing what's going on. The mileage your shoes have done is another really important thing. So check on this because it may be that the shoes are knackered and aren't giving the support they need, or that there are patterns with a certain shoe on a certain type of route as well, or with certain types of runs. Across this, when you are back into running, looking at the pacing of the run, the kind of heart rate and effort level you're putting into that, the wind condition, because certain things again around hips in particular, really common that our hips are working a lot harder and we run into a headwind. So you might go, oh, about 6 miles into this one, my hip really starts to hurt. But actually, you'd run 8 miles the day or a few days beforehand, and it'd been no problem, but it'd been a lovely, calm and still day. Things like that can make a difference. At which point we need to then change what we do and change your run types. I digress very slightly, but this is all really important little things that can sometimes be overlooked. So, in terms of measuring progress, what might you see and what might you look out for? So, the levels of pain at the start. You might see that you have a lower level of pain at the start of the run, or that actually it progresses much, much more slowly. You might see the pain doesn't start so much later, or you're able to go longer before you do get to that same level of pain. That's always a really good one. Other things in relation to our kind of pacing. So you might see that you can go faster before the pain kicks in, even if you do so over the same, say, 3 miles or 4 miles. Within that, you might get to 3 miles before it gets to an uncomfortable level that you go, actually, I need to stop now. If you've run those 3 miles quick or you've progressed your pace within those 3 miles rather than just running them all easy, then that again is a sign of progression because your tolerance to pain, your tolerance to the effort level and the workload has improved and increased. You might see a slower progression of pain when it does kick in. You might see, in fairness, that the pain kind of changes and increases and decreases within a run. Again, it might be related to elevation or wind direction of something, for instance, but it might be that actually just you think about how you run differently, or that just the pain is inconsistent now. So we're seeing an improvement with this. The other thing overlooked a lot of the time is that the running progression will not be linear. You might have a run that feels fantastic, the next one could be shorter and hurt more, and then the next one might feel absolutely fine again. So think about how you're pacing your runs, how you're kind of frequently running or infrequently running, ideally having some rest days in between, and again noting those correlations that you find, any causation or correlation you can draw between them. Now, the key thing, the takeaway from this, we don't want to be obsessed with pain, but we are probably going to be hyper vigilant. We're going to be hyper aware of these things, and that is not a bad thing. Know that that's going to be the case though, so have that context in mind and go, look, I may be overdoing this, I may be overthinking it. However, that's good. I would rather you do that because you're going to make cautious decisions and not more likely to not overdo things. Importantly, so don't be panicked by it, but look for those progressions. Be really honest with yourself. Keep that diary. So if you are working either on your own or you're working with somebody, you can see that progression, see what's working, and make informed decisions now, but also in the future if similar pains arise, or to try and avoid those things happening in the first place.